Hummingbird takes us off the deep end every week here at the CCA Workbench, and I brought in my Kingfish expert, Eric Gates from Jupiter, and we were up filming a Sportsman's Adventure episode. Dave was going to be out. We're talking Kingfish. So, Eric, let's talk a little bit about Kingfish and what we typically would use to catch them.
All right, there are a couple different ways you can fish for them. You can use live bait, you can use artificial lures, or you can troll for kingfish.
All right, so if we're going to just chisel down on the live bait, what kind of live baits are we talking about?
Depending on what region you're in and what live baits are available, you've got sardines, greenies, pilchards, speedos, blue runners. You could go on and
Goggle eyes,
Goggle eyes.
pilchards, I got it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the rig that we would typically use. I know you like conventionals like this Makyra conventional. We got it loaded up with some 20-pound. We have a piece of fluorocarbon leader going to a stinger rig. Now, tell me how you make the stinger rig, and more importantly, how you would hook it up to your bait fish.
Now, a stinger rig's got a small piece of wire in front of the front hook, and that lead hook's going to be a 2-0. I like to use a small circle hook.
Right.
And then you've got another trace piece of wire that goes to your treble hook here. And you take the treble hook and hook your live bait in the back.
You want to hook him on the top part of the back or underneath?
I like hooking them in the top of the back.
All right, I get it. So Eric, one other thing, what happens when the water's clear? Maybe you're dealing with a full moon like we have right now. The fish are a little bit spooky or not as quite aggressive. What would you typically use?
Well, a rig we use in Palm Beach and Jupiter quite a bit, the triple hook rig. And whoever came up with this is a genius. But basically what you'll do is you take your greenie or your sardine and you'll throat hook the bait.
All right, so if this is our sardine, we're going to use this Bass Assassin, about the same length, 4.5 inches. So where would we hook them?
I'm going to hook them what we call the throat, which is right behind the pectoral fin.
Okay, so we're going to go through, come all the way through his body, correct?
All the way through the body.
Now, when you do this, what does that typically do to the bait?
That gets your bait to swim out and away from the boat.
Okay, so now the bait's going to go out, and he's going to go away from the boat. Look what happens with our triple hook rig. You see that, guys?
So now what happens when the kingfish comes up and bites your bait, they're getting the hooks, and this top hook acts as a leader.
Oh, so it's preventing from cutting our mono, so we're just extending that.
Exactly.
I like that. That is a very smart way to go.
That's a good one.
All right, Eric, typically you said trolling, so I see you got a planer here. Why don't you tell me how we're going to fish with a planer?
I love planer fishing. It's a really fun way to fish. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to run off a bent butt rod or something heavy enough to pull a planer.
Right.
Because that does create a lot of drag. You want a 200-pound snap swivel, and that'll clip on to your ring here.
Right.
I've got another 200-pound snap swivel attached to the planer, and then 25 yards of monofilament. And then I've got a small piece of wire here, and you can use a spoon, you can use a deep diving lip plug. Or
now I notice you got a long leader, so what happens when you bring the planer up? What are you going to do?
So you pull the planer in the boat,
right?
And then you have somebody else on the boat to hand line the fish in.
Keep it in gear?
You want to keep the boat in gear.
All right, so we got some bucktails and also some jigging, vertical jigs, and you've done something to customize this. Why don't you tell the people at home about that, Eric?
So what I did here is I took a small piece of that titanium wire, the flexible coated wire. And what happens a lot of times when you're bouncing a jig on the bottom, that hook, when it's swinging around, will swing around and hook on top of your line. So what I did here is
using a rigging rubber band.
Took a bait rubber band and hooked it to the hook there.
So it keeps it from fouling.
Anti-fouling gear.
Is that your deal?
Yeah.
Good for you. That's really smart.